the music, the magic, and the ministry. Matt Baird from Spoken in the house today, live on The View from a Pew.
Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Let's get it started. Let's get it started in here. Yeah.
Let's get it started in here.
Welcome to The View from a Pew, a conversation among Christians who are out to grow their faith by asking the simple questions, the tough questions, and the stuff you really wish your pastor would talk about. Come on now, let's reason together. It's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. That's 855-244-0077. Now, here's your host, J. Michael McCoy.
All right, welcome. It is 4 minutes after the hour, and it is a gorgeous day here across the United States of America. And we appreciate you taking the time to listen to The View from a Pew. We know there's lots of things you could be listening to at this hour of the day, but for whatever reason, you've chosen to listen to us, and we thank you for that. Brian Leach is in the house from Service Legends, and Bob Montserrat, the Cat in the Hat, watching the chat. And Bob, your full-time day job is with the State Forensics lab, and of course a lot of people sitting on pins and needles today over those two little girls from Evansdale.
Yeah, that's correct, and we're in the process of identification to see if those remains are those of those girls. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
They've called a 4 o'clock press conference, and so I don't know if that's to give us an update or to let us know that it is. Now, the quote that was in the newspaper from one of the mothers was that it was them. I don't know if they were able to see the remains or if an officer, I don't know. I mean, they were 6 months out in the wilderness.
Yeah, and I don't know. And it could be based on clothing, and I don't know what they saw, or I have no idea at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But DNA takes, what, 3 days?
Well, if it's really pushed and rushed through, yes.
Okay.
Normally, laboratories like ours are backlogged with other cases that need DNA. So I don't know how it will be handled.
How long does it take for teeth?
Dental?
Yeah, dental.
That could be done pretty quick, within a day.
Well, our prayers and thoughts are with the family. And Matt, do you know what we're talking about?
I heard a little bit about it today,
okay.
But I wasn't really sure.
It's really a sad situation. This summer they were just out riding their bikes, and Grandma was watching them, and Grandma went in the house for a little bit, and she came out and they weren't there. Not a big deal. It's a small town community outside of Waterloo, and they never came back, and they never came back, and they never came back, and they never came back.
Were they abducted?
Well, nobody knows.
Nobody knows yet?
Nobody knows. I think it's assumed. I don't know. I'm not going to say that. Maybe they were. I don't know. I don't have any idea. I think we'll know more this afternoon at 4 o'clock. But just so sad, and the family, the family, one of the families is having legal problems. Dad did this or Mom did this, and so then they suspected the mom and dad. Which is just real ugly stuff. For those of us that have kids and grandkids, that's no fun. All right, let's talk about some fun stuff. Matt Baird from the band Spoken, back in the United States. Man, you were gone. I was following you on Facebook. You were like all over Europe.
I was gone too long, is what I was.
Too long?
I was there for 3 weeks in Europe, and then home for 3 days, and then on a 3-week tour in the U.S. So it was 6 weeks, basically. And you're like, how much longer is this? But yeah, you try not to focus on, I can't believe I'm still gone, but try to focus on the task at hand, I guess, and the opportunities there.
Are you as big or bigger in Europe than you are in the United States?
I mean, people in Europe, they're not spoiled to death by music the way we are. We can see any kind of band any night of the week, pretty much in any city, you know. But it's a big deal for them when a band from the States comes over, you know, especially if they know who it is. But I think any band from the U.S. could go over and get a good response.
Yeah.
But the shows go well over there. I mean, it's really cool. I mean, we're lucky to be able to do it.
Are you playing all sizes of venues, or do you particularly stick with a certain size?
You know, over there, they really don't believe in, like, church shows. So you could play a bar or a pub that's, 200 capacity up to 1,500 capacity or whatever. But then, like, we played 3 festivals while we were there, and they were, I mean, like one of the festivals had 2,500 people at it, another had like 800 people. So it's like it's kind of all over the place.
And the only thing you play is Christian music.
Yeah.
It's ministry music.
Yeah.
So you go to a bar, and the Christians come out to the bar to hear the music?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing, too. Culture there is way different. I think the legal drinking age is like, it's either 16 or 18. I want to say 16. So that automatically, that doesn't affect things the way it does here when it comes to all ages shows or 21 and up shows or whatever, because normally the 21 and up is because they sell alcohol.
Right.
But no, with Spoken, we don't play any cover songs, you know. So it's
It's
other
all
than
your own
like
stuff.
we do a cover of Time After Time, but we recorded it. You know, like it's actually on one of our albums. But that's pretty much any song that anyone can listen to and be like, oh yeah, I relate to that song. That's the kind of music we sing. You know, I mean the same way, like on my acoustic sets, I'll do a song by Journey, I'll do a song by Bon Jovi, and it's all songs that everyone. They are like, either one, they've listened to that song their whole life, or another, they relate to it a different way. Like, of just like, oh, totally. Like, it's usually songs about being homesick or
Sure.
like longing to be near someone.
Yeah. Have you ever sang Homesick by Mercy Me?
No.
Great song.
No, I think Mercy Me is great.
Yeah.
I just don't know any of their songs.
Yeah, great song.
Yet.
Yet, he says. So what was the... share with us a couple of God moments while you were over there playing for these folks.
I mean, to be honest, like the fact that we made it back from the Ukraine without dying was a God moment for me. Like we had never been to the Ukraine before. We had never been to the Czech Republic or to Poland. And anyway, we normally go over and we'll play Germany, we'll play Austria, Switzerland. We've been to Denmark before, but that's kind of the radius that we would stick with. This time we ventured across through Poland, played a couple shows in Poland. We played a show in the Czech Republic. We played a show in the Ukraine. And it just so happened that on our trip, our driver / tour guide / translator got really sick, and therefore he really couldn't talk or communicate. And I was driving also, but I was driving because I thought it'd be a blast to drive on the Autobahn and everything. But it turns out I was driving across into the Ukraine, and no one with us spoke anything close to Ukrainian. Eventually got across the border after hours, which they were just kind of chuckling at us. Like, I mean, literally, I felt like they're like, what are you idiots doing? Like, literally, that's what I'm feeling coming from these people, even though they don't speak English either. So it's neither one of us can communicate very good at all. And this is us trying to get 18 band members across too, with gear, with, you know, all this stuff. And they see a stack of U.S. passports because 2 of the bands from the States, actually 3 of the bands from the States. And they're just like, great, here we go. So we finally get into the Ukraine. We're running really late because of being hung up at the border. And we have the wrong address to the place. Our tour manager's phone doesn't work, even though he's from Germany. His phone stopped working in Poland, so we're in the Ukraine and we're lost and all this stuff. I'm like, what do we do? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, no, what are we doing? Because it's getting dark, and like we were in a village that wasn't even the correct village we were supposed to be in. We were supposed to be in a city 20 minutes away.
Oh no!
And the last thing he heard from the promoter was like, we'll meet you at the train station. So I go into tour manager mode myself because we're getting nowhere and we're all just getting frustrated, and we're like, why are we driving circles? What's the deal? So I just start asking every Ukrainian I could find, like on the street, or who would actually let me approach them wearing all black and speaking English. And I talked to about 20 people, and only one of them, like a probably 60, 65-year-old guy, oh, yes, I speak very good English, all this stuff. I'm like, thank you. You know, so that was a miracle in itself.
Absolutely.
And then eventually he's like, you're in the wrong city. This isn't even the right city. It's 20 minutes away. All this stuff. So we take off driving. It's dark. Traffic in Lviv is where we were. Was insane. It was like LA traffic in another country. And we're like, what is going on? We are approaching 2 hours late for our show.
Oh, no.
All this stuff. not load in, showtime. Like, so it's 9 o'clock pretty much. And we eventually, last thing we heard was train station. So I exit off this crazy city road. We drive down this dirt road with potholes and huge puddles of water, pitch black. There's an old train station there. There's a little market. No one in the market speaks English. I see a guy who was total Ukrainian mobster, not a doubt, like slick brown leather jacket and tearaway pants, right?
Wow.
And so he's talking, Ukrainian on the phone, and I approach him. I'm like, excuse me, I'm American, and my phone doesn't work. I was showing all this stuff, and he's just looking at me and trying to talk. He's just speaking Ukrainian. I don't know what he's saying, of course. Eventually, he hands me the phone. I go to our tour manager, and I was like, hey, this guy's going to let us use this phone. You need to call the promoter. He's like, I don't have the number. I'm like, you talked to the promoter on your cell phone 2 hours ago. Like, get the number. So he's like, oh, yes, it's in my phone. He's stoked or whatever. And he calls, and long story short, this guy, the Ukrainian, gets back on his phone, and he's talking really loud and all this stuff. I'm like, we're in the perfect setup to just literally be killed right now and everything's stolen and no one will ever know because we hadn't talked to the promoter in 2 hours. We're in these black Mercedes Sprinter buses, just blacked out. Here we think that's the sweetest looking thing ever. There, everyone has those. But, I mean, it's just we're in a pitch black train station, and a Ukrainian guy that I've never met is letting me use his phone, and he's back on the phone speaking loudly in Ukrainian. Anyway, he hands me his phone, and he's, like, pointing at it. And so I'm like, hello? I was like, Matt, hello, this is the promoter. This guy's going to ride with you and get you to the venue. You're still roughly 20 minutes away. I'm like, wait, you want this guy who I just randomly approached to hop in with us and show us how to get to where you're at? It's like, it would be the easiest way. You're still, 20 minutes away, and it would be the most convenient. I'm like, cool, done. Let's do it. So I load him in, and he rides with us. We drive 20 minutes. We go back into kind of an area we were when we were driving around lost in the wrong city in the first place. And these two people walk up, and they're like, this. They hop in. That guy gets out. I don't see him again. Like, that was it. I don't know if he was a guardian angel. I don't know what happened. He was gone. That was it. We show up 3 hours late for our show. Luckily, there's still like 60 kids. I mean, no one sticks around for 3 hours.
No.
Whatever. And we played, and everyone who could speak English who was a teenager was there, basically. And they're like, we're so glad you're here. This is amazing. We're like, where were you when we were lost in the wrong village? But show went awesome. We packed up immediately after the show and drove back to the Czech Republic. And it's really crazy. Once we got back to Germany, we're like, this feels so much like home. It is so much more, U.S. than the rest of the world over there. And so it was crazy. Like, that was a God moment, truly. The fact that we found anybody that could help us we were literally lost for 3 hours with the wrong address. No phone service. Couldn't find any open Wi-Fi signal, nothing. So that I'm alive here, sitting here, that's a God moment.
Yeah, I would say so.
Insane.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Matt Baird is here from the band Spoken. Just returned from you've been out on the road here in America, but prior to that you were over in Europe. You can check them out at spoken.com?
Spokenmusic.com.
Spokenmusic.com.
Or just facebook.com/spoken.
Okay. And you can check out some of the music. He brought his guitar this time, and so he's going to sing a couple of little ditties. I'd like you to sing Worship You, which is the song that you played for us at Lutheran Church of Hope one day. And he's also been writing a song for a new show that we're getting ready to start called Restoring Hope. And so I'm interested in hearing a little bit of that. 1-855-244-0077. That's the number to call. If you'd like to talk to Matt, we're coming back live here on The Truth. Yep, nothing but the truth on KTIA, Iowa. Powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
Leach, owner and general manager of Service Legends. I brought along a couple of the home comfort heroes.
Hi, I'm Tammy Wells.
I am Nick Wondershide.
I'm administrative manager
I'm the senior technician
from Service Legends.
It seems like every good thing, when you feel it to the bone that it's good, there's a lot of hard work put behind it. I don't think that you can fake it and have it turn out good.
You know, if we seem like, okay, that's just weird, it's just a furnace, why would you believe so deeply in a furnace? It's not just that, you know, we want to show the world that you can have good service.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be, it's your home.
You know, it's built into our daily trainings, it's built into our culture, that we're going to do whatever it takes to have each client say they love us, period.
That's why we spend all the hours in the training that we do. And if we guarantee it's going to be a good experience for you, or else it's free, what type of work do you think we're going to do?
There is a guarantee.
Temperature selection guarantee, fixed right or it's free guarantee, comfort guarantee, best value guarantee. All of these guarantees hold us accountable to ensuring that we exceed your expectations. And if for whatever reason we fail and we can't make it right, we guarantee all of those guarantees with a 100% money back guarantee.
I mean, if you don't think that your technician can fix it right, are you going to say that to a client? No.
You don't have to worry about having a technician come to your house.
We drug test, background check all of our team members. We put safe people in your home. Each and every one of our service techs, 400 hours a year in training.
You tell it the minute they walk in the door. They know what they're doing, they've done their homework, and they actually truly care about what you want.
Because at the end of the day, you're the person that makes sure I have a job.
They're going to be listening. They're going to want to know what your challenges are. Then they're going to come and give you options, and you get to choose.
If I'm there to help and I make it easy and painless, I did my job right that day.
Well, when it comes to your comfort, safety, and your family, you know, you don't necessarily go buy the most expensive, but you get the most bang for your buck.
Oh, it's worth it, because there's a lot of people that will find a way to get it to work right now and then leave and then come back, charge you again, and the cycle just repeats itself. So when I'm out there looking at the furnace, I want to find why it failed today. How can we change the part today with something that you're not going to have to worry about? Is it worth changing the part today? I mean, you can put a lot of money into a furnace. I can fix parts all day. There's good job security in that for me, but is it the right thing for you?
I get a lot of the phone calls of after the technicians are there. They're just in awe. They're like, wow, you guys are great. I mean, I don't even know what to say. You guys are great. Everything you did was perfect. It was great.
Keep going though. I like this.
Just give us a try. I'm going to take all the risk.
I've got the time to make this right. I've got the support to make it right.
Just check us out.
And if you don't see the value in what we do,
I mean, fixed right or it's free or 100% money back.
enough said.
Have you ever been told you're not a good enough Christian? Well, we have too. Join the conversation. Call 855-244-0077. Now here's your host, president of the Not a Good Enough Christian Club, J. Michael McCoy.
Okay, welcome back. 21 minutes after the hour. Beautiful day. Thank you for joining us. Matt Baird is in the house from the band Spoken. You can go to their website, Spoken Music, and hear some of it and listen to it. Now, if I recall, originally you're from Arkansas?
Yes, sir.
Arkansas. And you live here because your wife is from here, right?
Yeah. I lived in Arkansas until I was 19, and then the band went on the road full time, and so I didn't really have a home for that whole. We just tour so much, it's crazy. But about 12 years ago, I met my wife, and then actually tomorrow is my 10-year anniversary. So
Congratulations!
I appreciate it. So
yeah, that's great.
I moved to Iowa because if I was going to keep traveling so much, you know, she needed to be at least near a familiar area and near her family or whatever. And so moved to Iowa. So.
Why no accent?
Me?
Yeah.
You know, if I get pretty tired, there's definitely...
Oh, it'll come through?
Yeah.
You need to move a little closer to the microphone.
Let's do it.
Okay, sorry.
No, there is an accent. It really just depends on, you know, when and where, kind of. But
you sound like an Iowan, so...
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I think Iowa's very neutral when it comes to... It's not Kentucky, but yet it's not like Minnesota up there.
Minnesota? Yeah. Uh-huh.
Which,
Jersey.
You know,
or
Jersey over there.
That's where I was
No,
from.
you are?
Yes.
Oh, I need to
right
hear
outside New York City.
I need to hear you talk more. because I don't know that your accent is.
I don't have.
Yeah, you don't have one
I
anymore.
do not have one.
Yeah, you don't have one anymore.
I get a kick out of accents though. Like I do. I mean, we definitely, as a band, we have some pretty intense redneck voices. But I'm literally the only person in my family that doesn't wear real tree stuff and camo and all that all the time.
Really?
So, yeah. I
always think it's interesting when you can't hear an accent when someone's singing.
Yeah.
But when they speak, you can hear it.
Yeah.
Well, why?
No clue.
Music just kind
of. They want to sound as crystal clear and American as possible.
But you think that's done intentionally?
I don't know. Country music, you can pick up accents. I think.
Oh,
just Southern.
Twin fiddles in a steel guitar.
Country for sure.
Sorry, Mac.
You are so stereotypical against us country white trash.
What do you think I was?
He
man?
was right on though.
What do you think I was? My wife makes fun of me. I'll be singing in church and she'd be like, "Shut up, hick," because she like you making a beautiful song sound country.
Yeah, his wife's from
hillbilly.
Georgia.
And she calls me a hillbilly.
Originally, the country.
Wait, from what?
Georgia, the country of Georgia.
The country of Georgia.
Yeah. So and she calls me a hillbilly.
Hillbilly.
Yeah. No, there's no hillbillies. It's hillbilly.
But she just doesn't pronounce the B, or that's just what she calls you.
She doesn't pronounce the B.
No. So she calls you Ryan.
She's so bad at slang, it's hilarious because they didn't teach slang in her English class in Georgia. So it's hilarious. She messes up slang words so bad, and like little cliche phrases, she totally botches them up, and I'm just like.
And you laugh at her.
Oh, of course I do.
And then you get in trouble.
No, that's how I just tell her that's how I show love.
Oh, okay. All right.
I love it when people, especially people from other countries, mess stuff up. Because one thing, they don't grasp sarcasm the way we do. And another, like when they mess up words, there's this guy, I try to nickname all the Germans that we tour with or whatever because their names are usually so hard or whatever. And I nickname this guy Hightower because the dude is 7 foot tall and just ripped to pieces. He played drums for a band over there. And I was like, I'm going to call you Hightower. He's like, okay, that's great. Anyway, right before we played the first show with his band, he walks up to me, and he's looking down at me, because this dude's a monster. He's like, Matt, I am so afraid for you to play tonight. I'm like, wait, what? He's like, I am so very afraid for you to play. I'm like, do you mean excited? And he's like, oh, like he was so mad. Because he meant, I'm excited for you to play. But he was like, I'm afraid for you to play. I'm like...
You're going, what, water on the stage around electricity?
Yeah, no kidding. The grounding here is terrible. You touch the mic, you're done. But I'm like, this monster is saying he's afraid. And I'm like, something's wrong. But literally, like sarcasm, the first time we went over and did an actual tour with a band, instead of just like fly over for 3 or 4 days and come back, these guys, they're in a band called About an Author. And
hold on, but the band is called
About an Author.
About an Author.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And so there's these 4 dudes, and we're just hanging out with them each day, and we're cracking jokes and inside jokes, and here, like, you'll mess with someone that you like. You'll kind of just give them grief, and they're like, wait, why is that funny? I'm like, well, here's why it's funny. They're like, I don't understand. Anyway, that whole 2 weeks we were there with them, they're kind of just studying why we were so dumb, basically. The next time we went over there, 2 years later, those dudes were cracking jokes. It was amazing. Like, we took them to school with sarcasm. It was seriously so good. It was so good.
You got to keep it light.
When we see them, it's so funny. Because their sarcasm is like off the British Office or something like that, which I haven't even seen, but I hear it's complete terrible sarcasm. So I don't know. I know that the guys in the band, we think we're pretty funny most of the time, and so... When it doesn't translate and people are just staring at us like, why is that funny? You're like, come on, are you messing with me? They're like, no, why is that funny? We're like,
now you got some splaining to do, Lucy.
Yeah, it's bad.
Matt Baird is in the house from the band Spoken. It's spokenmusic.com if you want to look it up. Are you playing anywhere in central Iowa at all in the next...
Maybe February. Maybe we have a new record coming out finally, February 12th. So we'll be doing a release tour, and I would love for us to play where I live, you know?
Yeah.
Like we're planning on each, because we live in 3 different states, and so we're at least trying to do 3 of the cities that we all live in.
Why don't you play at Hope?
What, full band?
Yeah.
Maybe someday. I mean, that'd be great. Would love to. But I'm not sure that everyone at Hope is ready for what my actual band sounds like.
Yeah.
Acoustic, beating on a guitar, cool. Yeah, I think most people are like, I'm all right with that. But I think if they were to see or hear most of our music, they'd be like, "That's you." Like,
yeah.
You know, it is so different because the music's so aggressive.
Yeah. After you sang "Worship You" at Hope that time, I went and did what I do and investigated and listened to some of your other music, and it was like, oh man. The old man in me came out, If it's too loud, you're too old, and I was way too old.
No way. Well, I don't know. Some of it's pretty aggressive.
It is, but that's okay. That's okay. Now, when you're playing, do you also preach? Do you have an altar call? Do you talk about Jesus, or is everything just done with the music and the words and the music?
We don't do altar calls. And my whole thing, I want to be the same on stage, off stage, at a church, at a bar. I want to be the same person no matter what. The same thing goes with our music. I wouldn't do an altar call at a bar. Right. So I'm not going to do one at a church and cater to that. It's like, hey, will you do an altar call tonight? I'm like, if you want to do an altar call, by all means, we'll hang out, we'll do whatever. But we don't want to be one way at a bar and one way at a church. I think too often bands are already that way. People are already that way because they are terrible in one spot and then saints at another. It's like, why would you do that? Right. You know what I mean? Especially for bands, and anything about you that you do can be on Facebook in 3 seconds, on YouTube in 3 seconds. Why in the world do anything that
I agree
could jeopardize everything that you say you live for?
I agree.
So,
nicest compliment anybody ever pays me is you just seem to be the same guy in person that you're on the radio.
Yeah.
Well, who are you worshiping and who are you honoring if you lead two separate lives like that?
Right.
It's poser.
But there's a lot of people in every congregation across this city and around the world that do just that.
Well, I think even myself at times I'll show up in a way that I think is how people want me to show up instead of just who I really am, and I go, well, what are you doing, man?
Well, it takes.
Yeah, but you notice it though. You realize it. Yeah. A lot of these people it's like, okay, I'm in this mode now. I'm in this mode. I have no problem with the whole, okay, I'm going to a bar, I'm going to a show, whatever. I go to bars, to shows all the time because, one, I play bars all the time, but I'm not going to go there and do something that is either going to trip me up or trip someone else up or whatever. I mean, there's already too many questions and too many things that are confusing about life than giving people reason to be confused.
Absolutely.
So,
all right, will you play a little bit of Worship You for us?
For
We
sure.
got about 4 minutes before the break, so if you could I know you won't be able to get it done by then, but a little bit of Worship You, and then after the break, we'll tell you about how the song came about.
Okay.
Matt Baird with Spoken Music here live on KTIA.
You have my heart, you have my soul, and I worship you. I will worship you. When the night is dark, when the nights are so cold, I will worship you. I will worship you. And I love you, and I need you. God, I love you, I need you. When the world is dark, when the world is so cold, I will worship you. I will worship you. You made the stars, you made the heavens, and I'll worship you. I will worship you. And I love you, and I need you. God, I love you, I need you. by my side. And when I'm lost somewhere in the night, you're right there by my side. And in the morning when I rise, I know you're by my side. And when I'm lost somewhere in the night, you're right there by my side. And I love you, and I need you. God, I love you, I need you. I love you, and I need you. God, I love you, I need you. When my life is gone, when my life is so cold, I'll come home to you. I am home with you.
That's Matt Baird singing the song Worship You acoustically here this afternoon. You can find him at spokenmusic.com and hear all of their music. And when we come back a little bit later, we're going to have Matt tell you the story about how Jesus found him one day and how he found the Lord. And then he's going to play Restoring Hope for me. So that's coming up next, live on KTIA.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
The dawn of a new era begins.
Whether you're 10, 25, 50, 80 years old and beyond, everyone needs to live within their means. I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America. For almost a quarter of a century, we've helped people of all ages learn to manage their personal finances to benefit them far into the future. When problems arise, we've got the experience you need to make those debt problems go away. Got financial problems? Call Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
If you sit in the back pew or the front pew, it's your voice we want to hear. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
22 before the top Salem Radio Network news at the top of the hour, and then True Blue, hosted by Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church. That's coming up in the 4 to 4:30 hour. Tomorrow, Donner is going to be in. Donner is a psychiatrist who deals with mentally challenged children, and we're going to have a pretty tough conversation about what's going on with children nowadays and what society has been doing to Christian children who have been in government schools and how tough that can be on them. That's tomorrow here on The View from a Pew. Matt Baird is my guest today. SpokenMusic.com is the website. That's where you can check out all their music. And if you want to hear Matt live, he will be at all 9 holiday Christmas services at Hope on the 22
through something.
Yeah, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. 9 services we'll be having, and Matt will be singing at every one of them. And so that we look forward to having that this year, and Christmas at Hope is always very special. What also, as long as I'm talking about it, the cantata is this weekend, 5 and 6:30 on Saturday night, 9:15, 11, and 5 on Sunday. The cantata, always a beautiful service at Hope for the Christmas season. All right, I remember the story because it had something to do with a skateboard outside of a church.
Right, yeah.
And how you were introduced to the Lord. Give us the short version of that.
Yeah, I mean, the short version is I used to I lived and breathed skateboarding. That's what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to be a pro skater. Like, I wasn't good enough, but I was trying. You know what I mean? I was trying to get to that point. And there's just one day I was skateboarding outside a church in Lowell, Arkansas that I had been... in my mind, I had been ran off from several times because I would skateboard in this little hallway area that had this nice little ledge that I loved skateboarding on. And there would be this, at certain points, there'd be this person come out. Her name is Kathy Ford, which I still know her to this day. She would come out. I just knew this, like, there's this gray-headed lady that would come out and yell at me all the time. But, like, she would come out and was like, hey, either come inside or leave because we're trying to have service. And I didn't know what service was. I'd never heard that phrase. And so I'm like, okay, fine. So I would leave. Anyway, I was skateboarding out there one day, and this kid came up, and I was learning heel flips at the time. And I was getting pretty frustrated with getting my shins beat to pieces and landing on my back or on my face or whatever. And he's like, hey, can I see your board? I'm like, yeah, sure. And I had that attitude of like, yeah.
How old are you?
Show me.
14
years old. And he does a heel flip and lands it the first try. I'm like, that's a heel flip. He was like, yeah, I learned it last week or whatever. I'm like, what? Anyway, we skated a bit. His name's Jason Anderson. Still friends with him today. And he was like, hey, we're having like some junk food inside if you're interested. And I'm like, yeah, of course I'm interested. So we went in, and it was like a potluck thing. And I would just experience unconditional love from these people because there were kids, there were teenagers, there were college age, there were old people, and none of them cared about what I had done, where I had been, anything. And for someone at any point in your life to be loved unconditionally is great, but I was 14. I needed to hear that, you know? And a month later, I accepted Christ, February 2nd of 92.
Wow.
I came, you know, I don't know. I'm like, I want that. I want what this is. I want this Jesus, you know? And so I accepted Christ and dedicated my life to him, and it's many years later. And that's why I leave home. That's why I use music as a tool to share Jesus. It's like, do I love music? Yes. Do I love performing live? Do I like traveling the world? Yeah. But if it wasn't for each night during our show, that even the minimum of like, hey, Jesus Christ loves you and has a plan for your life, there's power in that, you know? And God can do whatever he wants with a heart that's prepared, and, you know? And so there are some nights I'll share more. I'll share that story. I'll share about how I came to know Jesus. There are other nights where it's straight up like, we as a band, we believe in Jesus Christ, that he's the Son of God, he's the Savior of this world. Thank you for being here, you know? And so, but there's always, Jesus is always mentioned. I have nightmares about, I'll wake up and be like, wait, the other night, did I say anything about Jesus? Like, I'm literally, yeah.
Wow.
Like, but I also have nightmares like, I'm walking to the microphone to start a song, and I don't remember the words of what I'm about to sing. But yet that actually happens to me, and the moment I get right here, the words come back. That's in real life, but there are dreams that the words don't come, and I'm just like, oh, no, I don't know. And
Matt Baird is our guest. SpokenMusic.com. That's where the band is. I know that one of the joys out of doing this radio program, and it's been this way for years, is those little glimpses that you get into people's lives when they'll come and they'll tell you something that was said, or something they heard, and what it meant to them and where it led to. And, that's when I just look up and I'm like Tim Tebow. I just point and say, thank you, Jesus. That's what it's all about. Tell me about one of those maybe for you. You've had to have some where your music has impacted somebody incredibly.
The flattering thing and the really cool thing is, at each show we have, unless it's something and the show's a flop and there's hardly anybody there and they don't even know who we are type thing, people will come up and they will start talking about how a friend of mine showed me your band X amount of years ago, and because of that, this happened in my life, and because of that, I came to understand who God was. I was like, that's amazing. That's really crazy. But it's the same thing. People using music and using bands all the time, the same way skateboarding. Skateboarding is what God used to bring me to Him,
right.
And so there's just amazing stories of on the last tour in the States, this guy comes up, he's like, I just wanted to say thank you. I'm like, oh, cool, man. He's like, that's really, man, you just don't even know. I'm like, well, what's up?
Yeah, tell me what I don't know.
He was like, 4 months ago, a friend invited me to this retreat thing, and I was like, I was mad at God. I hated God. I'm like, well, those are strong words, and he's like, no, really, I was done. I just didn't want anything to do with it, didn't even believe anymore. And we go, and my friend says, we start talking about music, and I tell him who I'm listening to, and he's like, well, this is my favorite band. You should check it out. And shows him a song called Promise. And the dude is like, I took drugs with me on that retreat. I threw them away. That night, I threw them away. I started listening to you guys. I haven't touched drugs in 4 months. And he's like, and it was because of that moment. I'm like, that's insane. You know what I mean? I'm like, well, that's cool. I think, in my mind, maybe it be me being naive or whatever, I think God was going to do something anyway at that retreat thing or whatever. But the fact that the guy was like, hey, your music is what did this.
So you think it was just an accident that your music came up and God went, oh, what a good idea. I'll use Matt's music.
I think God can do whatever He wants.
Right.
So
you were in the plan, dude.
It's cool. It's cool. I don't know. Even if I never heard those stories, I would still love doing what I do. And, I'd still be like, I want to be obedient to Jesus. And He has me playing rock and roll. He has me playing an acoustic. The other morning, I led worship and spoke at a church. I don't do that. It's small settings, large settings, whatever. I deal with some stage fright issues of people are about to only be looking at me right now. The same way, a camera could be only at me right now.
Yes.
It's awkward. It's weird. But at the same time, I'm not gonna say, well, man, I'm a little freaked out. I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna be like, let's do it. Let's roll.
Matt Baird is in the house, becoming one of my favorite guys behind a guitar. You heard a little bit ago his song "Worship You," which he wrote. And when we come back, we're getting ready to start a new radio ministry here in 2013. And that is going to be a recovery show. And the name of the show is Restoring Hope Live. And I just asked Matt if he would mind messing around and writing a little ditty that could be our theme song. And wait till you hear what he wrote. And what was cool is when you first recorded this, you did it on your phone.
I did.
And sent it to me. And it was a great recording, but we'll hear that when we come back. We are live on this gorgeous day in the middle of The View from a Pew with Bob Montserrat, Brian Leach, Father Tattoo, and me. I'm J. Michael McCoy. If I haven't told you lately, thanks for listening. I love this job, and I couldn't do it without you. Right here, live on 99.3 KTIA, Iowa, powered by WebcastOneLive.com.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Drug and alcohol addiction slowly steals a person's identity, tearing away pieces of their life little by little until one day it seems like the hope of a happy future is gone and there's no chance of getting it back. Here at St. Gregory Retreat Centers, we can assure you that there is hope. Our unique approach to recovery begins with the understanding that the dysfunction and damage caused by addiction can be overcome, not just dealt with. Don't let another day go by. Call St. Gregory today.
If you choose to obey the power of sin, it leads to death. If you choose to obey obedience, it leads to righteousness.
Forgiveness is just the beginning of life in Christ. God wants us to live for Him now.
And because of Jesus Christ, the gospel was preached, and you and I are blessed today because of Abraham. Did you know that? We're blessed.
Experience Truth, 99.3 FM.
If Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of America was your personal webmaster, Tom would filter out all bad debt emails. If Tom was your mailman, you'd never get any debt reduction junk mail. If Tom Coates was a lineman, he'd block any phone calls offering to reduce your credit card debt.
Hi, I'm Tom Coates with Consumer Credit of America, and we're still your best choice for credit counseling. We're local, we're accountable, and we can do more. You make the call when the time's right for you.
When it comes to competition, there really is none for Consumer Credit of America.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
We're the ones in the pew, not pulpit. Come on now, let's reason together. The phone lines are open, so call 855-244-0077. Now, here's J. Michael McCoy.
10 to 4 at the top, and Salem Radio Network News, and then True Blue, hosted by Michael Mudloff, Pastor Michael Mudloff from Westkirk Presbyterian Church. Tomorrow we have a child psychiatrist coming in the house. His name is Donner. He works with Orchard Place, and we're going to talk about just some of the issues that kids nowadays are having, especially coming out of government schools and things that kids are being taught. My guest is Matt Baird from the band Spoken. SpokenMusic.com is the website. When you travel abroad, foreign, how is America's Christianity viewed? How is ours different than in Germany or in Poland or one of those other countries?
I mean, with my personal experience, I think we're definitely more conservative side. Like over there, so many things are just so views on morals are so different. Like it's just. I'm like, the thing that with me here, where I get the looks and the glances or whatever from Christians, non-Christians, whatever, are the tattoos, right?
Okay.
Over there's so many things that I look at situations, I'm like, really? It's just so different. But over there, I think maybe, one, they think that too much of our food has sugar in it. Our pastries are too sweet. They think that we're all overweight. They think that we're all,
Well, a lot of us are.
Well, but
yeah.
our pastries aren't too sweet. They're delicious.
Oh, okay.
And so I think you can view it totally different, like even here. Like, I think some people's views are just so off the deep end and all the lines are blurred. There's no black and white anymore. There's no right and wrong. It's like, well, the Bible fits my life this way, so I whatever. Instead of like us living by the Bible. Over there, I think it's just viewed differently. The thing is, if a person calls themselves a Christian, they're a Christian. Like, they're straight up like, I love Jesus. Being called a Jesus freak over there is a good thing.
Yeah.
Here, it's like the most cheeseball thing you can hear. Even though DC Talk Jesus Freak changed music for all of us in an amazing way, still, the phrase Jesus freak is weird. I think you have really hot Christians there. I think you have some that are kind of not. Same way with here.
Same way anyway.
Yeah, I just think it's the same.
On a music level, I was in this just unreal debate with one of my wife's cousins over in Georgia that just appalled that we consider church, singing and things like that. I mean, it's supposed to be silence, something over your head in the Greek Orthodox Church, and just silence, and it's incredible. They think I'm a hoodlum, man. They almost kicked me out of one of the churches because I crossed my legs, and I'm like, what? Wow. Where's that saying anything in the Bible? And I just got all sorts of bent out of shape for a minute.
Yeah.
So I had an opportunity to confess my sins right there.
No, I mean,
about
it's
2
hard.
minutes later.
it's hard for everyone's views and everything. Like if someone asked me my views, I'm all about telling them. The same way if some band is like, hey, will you watch our band tonight and critique us? I'm like, I'll be honest with you. And they're like, great, that's what we want. I'm like, you have to see this as like, I'm not your best friend and I'm not your parent. I'm not going to tell you you're really good when you're not. I'm not going to do that encouraging thing. I'm not going to give you false hope. And they're like, okay, great. And then you watch their band, and maybe they're great, maybe they're terrible. But either way, you have to be honest with them.
Right.
That's what they want. People want honesty, even when it hurts. And the same thing is like, it's just, the Bible, I think, is really clear with like, hey, we're all so different. It is insane, So let's just figure it out. Let's get along, and let's put Jesus first,
Yeah, I never thought being called a Jesus freak was a bad thing. But I know that when the term came out in the 60s, well, maybe it was out before that. I suppose it was. But that's when I became aware of it. And it was, you were all weird and kind of Mooney-like and playing tambourines. And
I mean, it's viewed as derogatory. I mean, in so many, especially like with kids in college age, whatever. I remember being called a Jesus freak when I was in high school because, I mean, I was all about Jesus. I was like, cool, let's do it. And, so it's one of those things where it's like, wait, you don't do this, you don't do that, or whatever. What are you, a Jesus freak? I'm like, well, I go to church, I mean, a lot. Every time the doors are open, and I love Jesus.
Yeah.
If that makes me a Jesus freak, okay. But some people get bent out of shape when they're called that, and, whatever. I mean, they could be called a lot worse things.
Yeah, they could. All right, we are in 2013. We're getting ready to start a new nationwide ministry on recovery and relationships. It's going to be kind of based on Rick Warren's Celebrate Recovery with Hurts, Habits, and Hangups. And the name of the show is going to be RestoringHopeLive.com. And as many things that I do with the internet business, I always put live after it because so many people only think of what's being done on the internet as something that's podcast. And yes, we podcast everything, but we also do it live. And live is where we start from. And so this show should start sometime in 2013. And I asked Matt to write our theme song. And so from Europe, on my email, I get an email from him one day, and I pull up this file, and he had played this into his phone and recorded it for me. Now, we've only got a couple minutes. Maybe just give us the chorus or something of what you've got.
Yeah. It's crazy. I remember where I was sitting and everything. It's so weird. But yeah, this is kind of the idea. This is where we're headed, and it could change either way. I mean, we'll see. We'll see where it goes. Restoring hope, open my heart to sing. Search the darkness inside, revealing your light. Restoring hope, open my eyes to see the world through different eyes, revealing your light, restoring hope.
What do you think, Leach?
Good.
Going to be a hit.
Yeah, I like it.
Number one.
Number one.
Hey, what are you laughing about?
I'm sorry.
That could be your first big mainstream
jingle
song.
Mac, he's actually had quite a few really big hit singles.
Not really.
Well, but this could be your biggest.
Now you're trying to be humble, Matt. You got a lot of music out there.
This could be your biggest. This could be like your Alanis Morissette's
Jagged Little Pill. Every song on
there
our whole
you go.
record. Okay.
Every one of them.
Speak it into my life. Go. Do it.
Oh, but anyway, I appreciate you working on that, and it'll be absolutely a pleasure to have you being a part of that.
I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks.
Yeah.
So that ended up coming to fruition. I didn't even know.
We're working on it.
Okay,
we're working on it.
All right, cool.
Yeah, it's
real close.
It's real close. It's I never count my chickens before they're hatched. But the right people, God's on the move. I mean, He's clearly sending the right people alongside me for this upcoming season to put this all together. So we'll see. If it's God's will, it's God's will. Matt, thank you.
Thank you.
Love you, brother.
Love you.
I'll be there at the Christmas services to
All 9?
cheer you on. I think so.
Really?
Yeah. I usually help, with whatever they need me to be a sheep and baa. I'll do whatever.
He's the prophet Isaiah.
Yeah. Usually I'm the prophet Isaiah, but we'll see if Isaiah shows up.
That'd be interesting if you went from the prophet Isaiah to a sheep.
Bob, thanks for being here. Brian Leach, Father Tattoo. We'll see you tomorrow, 3 o'clock. And remember, all I ask you to do is one thing. Pray.